All right, welcome back to the Polity. You're still on to KAFTAN TV channel 124 on Startimes as we speak. I've been joined now virtually by a guest to do some justice to the issues on the state of the nation. I'm speaking about Engineer Mike Oshiobugie, pardon me. He's a policy analyst. He's also a Labour Party aspirant, or prospective aspirant for the governorship seat in Edo State 2024. Good afternoon, Engineer Mike. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good afternoon, my brother. I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. It's good to have you. All right. So I'll start with the most recent issue. The presidential candidate of your party for the 2023 election, I'm talking about Mr. Peter Obi, reacted recently to the supplementary budget passed by President Bola Tinubu. He said that the president didn't seem to be aware of the issues bordering the average Nigerian, hence some provisions in that budget. What's your take on the supplementary budget and Mr. Peter Obi's reaction?
His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi is an embodiment of the vision, the mission, and the manifesto of the Labour Party. So his view or views concerning the supplementary budget will reflect social democracy, which is the ideology of the Labour Party. And of course, the Labour Party is highly distinguished from APC or PDP when it comes to lifting the poor from their doldrum. The Labour Party is more inclined to empowerment of people, rather than talking more of infrastructures and the rest of that. So Peter Obi's perspective is right. Is in consonance with what the Labour Party believes in. Is in consonance with what I believe in. Each time you are writing a budget or a supplementary budget, there has to be a significant attention paid to how do you lift people out of poverty. That is crucial. That is important. And this is what primarily informed this position on the supplementary budget. As you can see, the supplementary budget, had a serious criticism from a lot of Nigerians, primarily because there were clauses there that tended to, allocate resources in a manner of wastage. The issue of presidential yacht, which was later clarified, and all of that. Along the line, the House of Reps, in line with what Peter Obi said, in line with the Labour Party manifesto, went ahead to increase the allocation for students' loan, from 5.5 billion to 10 billion. That shows you clearly that Peter Obi's position is right as far as the supplementary budget is concerned. So I totally agree with Peter Obi that each time government is crafting a budget, government must pay attention to empowerment of people. We in Labour Party believe so much in that because even infrastructural development cannot effectively be carried out without the people's involvement, without the people being empowered, without the people's trust. A lot of people in government have this illusion that you can actually succeed in developing a country by isolating the people. All you need is the money. You can take as many loans as you want to take from World Bank. And then when you bring it, you just develop the country and people will clap for you. It doesn't work like that. I think that is a mistake the current APC government is making. And I think this is what is attracting the criticism of Mr. Peter Obi, because he is aware that the approach to governance by the current government is largely wrong. When they appear to carry out social interventions like a conditional cash transfer, which is part of the supplementary budget that you mentioned, you discover that it's inadequate. It is not only inadequate, during the process of disbursing this fund, you also have a lot of questions, arising from the target audience. We have seen things like that in the past, where monies that were supposed to be given to the poorest of the poor were shared to the ruling party's members. So let me stop there.
All right. It's good or interesting to hear the perspective of others from the other parties. But speaking about, the role of opposition, because in his speech reacting to the Supreme Court judgment, Mr. Peter Obi spoke about, doing opposition the right way. And the question is, there are some happenings that one wonders where the voice of the Labour Party is. Let's take a look at the issue of the SUVs, where the lawmakers were said to be getting over 100 million naira worth of cars, latest models of these cars for one reason or another. We didn't see a lot of reaction from the Labour Party caucus, making a stand against some of these exorbitant expenditures. And also, there's another matter when it comes to the issue of electoral process. The president recently recommended a number of persons for INEC positions, and it has been revealed by multiple sources, including renowned journalists, that some of these persons have ties with the APC government, or with the party, or somehow with a previous government, and I've wondered about their neutrality in this issue. Now, what we see is that CSOs and citizens, they are speaking out against this issue, but the opposition parties, such as Labour Party and others, we're not hearing a lot from these parties and these bodies. So one might wonder, is there really a difference? Is there a reason why opposition doesn't stand more firmly against the administration?
Well, right now you have the PDP, and then you have the Labour Party leading the opposition to the APC. And you will agree with me that this is a novel development to the tradition of APC versus PDP, or PDP versus APC, depending on who is in power. Again, the Labour Party that I belong to is work in progress. I use the word work in progress because even as a member of the Labour Party, I am not the type of person that we just play to the gallery to tell you that all is well. For me, the Labour Party is work in progress. It's a party that benefited so much from the personality of Peter Obi, and therefore you will agree with me that the process of consolidating the strength of the Labour Party is a demanding one. It requires collective efforts. Some of us who have very profound experience in unionism, and this is one reason why we are coming into politics, and then we are also coming into the party, because if you look at Labour Party is the brainchild of the NLC and the TUC, and therefore it is imperative for NLC and TUC unionists, seasoned unionists, experienced unionists, principled unionists, to come into the Labour Party and ensure that the Labour Party, is sanitized and then prepared for the critical role of an opposition party. And then you also agree with me that PDP is not a very good bedfellow to the Labour Party, so to speak, in many areas. However, pragmatism and the reality demands that this major opposition party must now work together. And I am one of those who are seriously inclined that synergy must start to happen now. It will have to happen even at the level of sub-national elections. Our collaborations would have to be even in areas of understanding what the ideologies of these political parties mean. You talked about the Labour Party legislative members who were also to benefit from the SUVs. Well, there are two schools of thought on this. There are people there's a school of thought that believes that since they are members of the opposition, the Labour Party, they should actually say they are not accepting. While the other school of thought believes that, well, cannot just say they will not accept when everybody needs the vehicle to do their official work or something. Well, again, I don't want to be too critical on them. The reason why I said I don't want to be too critical on them is some of the people who won this election into House of Reps, into Senate, on the platform of Labour Party, believe you me, some of them won this thing by accident. Some of them never campaigned to occupy these positions. They rode on the popularity of Peter Obi to get to Senate, to get to House of Reps. So you don't expect these people to wake up suddenly to be concretely solid like Peter Obi with respect to taking decisions that will affect the people of this country vis-a-vis, even against their own interest. So for me, I think within the Labour Party and the PDP, we really need to get back to the drawing board in carrying out what I am doing in Edo State right now, which is massive conscientization. Like in my own case, I'm conscientizing people within the Labour Party against money politics because of the damaging effect, the seductive effect of money in politics. The same way, it behoves on and is imperative on some of us who believe that we are embodiment of what the Labour Party ideals and values stand for, to continue the advocacy, of ensuring that not only the members of Labour Party, but the leaders of Labour Party are properly inculcated with the right values so that they can be the good example that they ought to be at the level of the legislature. Thank you.
I noticed you spoke about how the NLC and the Labour are some sort of partnership or another. This takes me now to what's going on in Imo State, where the governor said recently that the national president doesn't seem to understand Imo State politics, implying that he had come into the state for political reasons. So the question is, when you say the Labour Party and the NLC are sort of intertwined in one form or the other, does that give any credence to what the governor was saying about the national president not understanding the politics? Could it be, I wonder, if the national president had been there particularly for political reasons? And generally, what's your thoughts on the whole scuffle so far with NLC pretty much shutting down Imo State and Imo alone? Do you see it as a viable one?
Yes, you know that human behavior is contagious. Political action especially is even more contagious. The erroneous and wrong activities of our past leaders are today telling on us. For me, Governor Hope Uzodinma has no moral authority to define reality. For me, he does not even have the political qualification to define and determine political inexperience on the part of the national president of NLC. Because some of us know the judiciary may say one thing, but anybody who is intellectually inclined knows that the law is a codification of morality. So if the judiciary at one point in time decided that a man who took fourth in a gubernatorial election should be made the governor of a state, all well and good. It showcases the level of moral decadence that the society has degenerated to. So if such a man today is defining the level of political experience of Comrade Joe Ajaero, the national president of NLC, it leaves more to be desired. So I will tell you that I know for sure, as a comrade, that the workers had an issue in Imo State, and in solidarity with them, and as the national president of NLC, Comrade Joe Ajaero had to come down to his state to supervise the struggle for his own workers. So if the governor of the state, by dint of financial power, succeeded in teleguiding the local leaders of NLC to say one or two things, that does not justify his definition of experience in politics or not. We are all political animals, and I mentioned earlier on that the TUC and the NLC are the backbones of the Labour Party. So even if the national president of TUC and NLC decide to go to Imo State and even physically participate in the current election on the side of NLC, on the side of Labour Party candidates, I can't see any reason why anybody is going to fault them. But in this particular case, that is not the case. That is not even the case. We really need to be very careful in a country like this, when we allow men with executive power, to stifle the voices of the people whose voices are already stifled. And the NLC leadership and TUC are even struggling against the tides and current of political force that is ongoing, where politicians have learned to use money to even seduce union leaders at various levels. It is a struggle today. Ask yourself, what has happened to student unionism in this country? I was a student union president myself, 1996, 1997. By my activities then as student union president, I mentioned to you earlier on, I was arrested by Abacha and kept in prison for 7 months. How many student union leaders today are being arrested? Is it that they don't want to fight for the masses? It's just that they have been refrigerated gradually by politicians. They have learned how to cage them, and they are using money to cage people. Those who should be the voices of the voiceless are gradually being caged. So, I totally disagree with the position that Joe Ajaero is politically inexperienced, is naive, or he came to Imo State for political selfish interest. No. Hope Uzodinma and whatever he is getting from the combined force of the NLC and TUC is appropriate, such that a good lesson is sent out not only to Hope Uzodinma but to other governors in this state, in this country, and to the president of this country, that in democracy, absolute power is not really absolute. It is only where power exists without compassion. strength.
All right. Can you hear me, Engineer Osho?
Downside.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
All right. We're speaking on that issue now. Imo State is one of the states with an election coming in just over a day. By next tomorrow, KAFTAN TV will be bringing live coverage of the election from the field. So the question now is the timeliness of this, what I call it, protest, so to speak, against the governor's actions. What do you make of it? And then let's start to delve into the issues of these off-cycle elections. You're a prospective candidate for another off-cycle election coming next year, 2024. What's your thoughts on these ones that are coming up very soon, and these issues that are close, how it could affect or impact the elections?
Yes, first of all, let's look at how the issue in Imo State should impact the outcome of the election in Imo State. The issue in Imo State should make Hope Uzodimma to lose the election in a free and fair contest. It should make him to lose the election in a free and fair contest, very clearly. And that is why my position to INEC is that INEC should use the case in Imo State, the case in Kogi State and Bayelsa State to redeem his image in the last presidential election. Because this morning I responded to an argument that I don't understand coming from INEC. On the one hand, INEC rep or spokesperson is arguing that the IREF portal is just for viewing, it's not for collation of results. But you are telling us that results from the polling units are supposed to be captured by the BVAS machine and then uploaded to the IREF. My question this morning is that for formality? Is it that result uploaded to the IREF can be allowed to be different from the results that are manually collated? That is the question I'm asking. Even though I know that this question has been answered by the judiciary, because the judiciary in their position, in their judgment, or the presidential petition judgment has clearly told this country that the manually collated result can be different from what you watch on your IREF. So you can go ahead and watch whatever you like. Then INEC can also go ahead and collate the result the way they like. And the one that INEC has collated is the correct one. That's what the judiciary has told this country. And that is why I'm wondering, as an individual, I'm wondering whether the judicial system bequeathed to us by our colonial masters is what we are still practicing, or should we go back to our traditional judicial system, the one my grandfather operated in my village, which was very effective, because justice once dispensed those days in the village is justice that is clear to everybody. It is not only seen to have been discharged, it is being discharged. So, my take on the off-cycle elections is that one, this is a very good opportunity for INEC. INEC cannot come and cry that, oh, we don't have enough resources to man the polling youth in the country because the election is widespread. You only have Kogi State, you have Bayelsa State, and you have Imo State. So, and I can see the supplementary budget has also made a very good amount of money to them. Just the same way some of us are wondering that over 300 billion that was invested into electronic voting went into waste. At the last general elections, went into waste. All the shouting, people like us were shouting, we needed to include electronic voting system. We did not know that they went there and then they tried to smuggle all sorts of nonsense into the law. So for me, this is an opportunity for INEC to redeem its image, make sure the BVAS machines are working in these 3 states, make sure the results that you are uploading from the polling units to the IREV are in tandem, in consonance with the results that you count. I do not know the kind of country we operate. I am an engineer. In engineering, there is what we call redundancy. If we are providing power supply, offshore where I work for many years, we also provide what we call emergency power supply. You have a generator, standby emergency generator. In case irregular power supply goes off, are you with me? The emergency generator kicks in. Sometimes the emergency generator is not to replace the main generators. It is also to complement the main generators. So one would have thought that if we have the IREV, the essence of the IREV is to enable us to use the IREV to audit the manually collated results in order to show up public confidence in the results so announced by INEC. So I am urging INEC to do its own job. I am also urging the Labour Party. I'm also urging even the PDP that is in opposition to work very hard to ensure that the BVAS machines work. Yes, and any attempt for anybody to manipulate the BVAS machine, they should also ensure that there is no voting, that no election goes on. Yes, that is what they can do. For me, that was what was not done during Peter Obi's election. If the Labour Party members at the polling unit had insisted, if this BVAS machine does not work, there is no voting in this place, heaven would not have fallen. And I'm sure Peter Obi would have been the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria today. So this is my take.
All right, thank you very much for that, Engineer Osho. We've run out of time now for this segment, but it's been good to hear from you and your advice. An interesting one there. We'll see how that turns out. As long as there's no violence, I believe that party agents and all that are allowed to air their opinions without resulting to any sort of rule breaking. So thank you very much for joining us virtually. I know it's a busy time for you. Hopefully we get to talk some other time and get your thoughts on national issues. Thanks for responding.
Thank you so much, my patriotic fellow Nigerian. Thank you for your work.
All right, thank you.
And God bless you for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's all we'll take on this segment of the program. I'll call for a video now. That is the reaction of the 2023 presidential candidate for Labour Party, talking about Mr. Peter Obi, his reaction generally to the supplementary budget. This was at a press briefing where he spoke about the Supreme Court judgment, and in the same breath he talked about the the supplementary budget, which has just or was just passed yesterday, even while we were on the POLITY here. So we'll take a look at that video. When we return, we'll be joined by a guest to speak on the off-cycle elections and the role of youths in ensuring monitoring and security.